welcome back. Real quick, before we jump into this, there's a new way you can support the channel, and that is through Buy Me a Coffee, or in this case, we're going to call it Buy Me a Soy Latte. And for each $5 that y'all kick down, you will earn one ticket, and we're doing a drawing at the end of the month for this Edgar Sherman design sling in beautiful M81 camo. So, link in the description. If you're kind of a commitment phobe or you have a weird monthly budget and you don't want to do the Patreon thing, I get that. This lets you help out the channel without having a long-term commitment. So get on down there, do the thing. All right, the Model 10 Snub was more fun than a barrel of monkeys. However, so for years and years, I have loaded kind of my standard 38 special round has been a 158 grain bullet over 4 grains of tight group, which is a fairly warm and kind of heavy for caliber load. And I do that because if I ever need to use them for zombies or whatever, I want them to be effective. It's not like a plinking load. I want them to work. However, I think this will dictate probably switching up to a lighter, like a 125 grain bullet. So we'll be doing some experimenting in the months ahead, but absolute blast to shoot. I went straight to the 20-yard range, which is a little much for me at a first time with a 2-inch barrel. Had varying degrees of success. Did a lot. I like to shoot double action guns in double action. But at 20 yards, this was challenging. I had a whole bunch of them just not even hit paper. So switching to single action, I was getting like dead bullseye hits. So, I mean, the gun is accurate. It's just me sucking. So I've got work to do to get better at it. But I like the challenge of stretching out to the 20 because I know if I can hit things at 20, then if they're closer, I'm good to go. I have a Packmare grip adapter. It's kind of the poor man's Tyler T grip. On the way, in fact, it might be driving around in the neighborhood being delivered today, and I'll update you on that when it gets in. And I did have one little hiccup that I thought was worth sharing because it was a thing I've never run into with Old Smiths, and let's see if I can replicate the problem right now. But after a handful of rounds, there we go. After a handful of rounds, the latch started getting sticky, and I thought it was primers backing out of the cases, which is a thing that can happen, especially when you hand load. Sometimes with kind of warm loads, it'll cause the primer to back out, and then it'll make getting the cylinder open kind of sticky. And so I thought that's what was going on, and by the end of the session, it just wouldn't open. So I actually came home with like 11 rounds left, which is weird for me. So I'm driving home, and I'm all bummed because I'm like, I can't figure out what's going on. I had a particularly long stoplight, jumped on the Google machine, did some Google foo, and the very first answer that came up, I was like, I bet that's what it is. So what it was the cylinder release punch lever, brain farting on what the hell, you know what I'm talking about, that thing, had started backing itself out. And so that was, as I would press the open latch, I could see that it was working because the little hootis was popping out of the front here, but this was too far out to let it come open. So the cure to that, once I kind of pried it open with a little more force than I like to use, is you have to hold the cylinder and the bottom of the latch there, the little detent there, and then turn counterclockwise, which feels totally weird and wrong, but you turn it counterclockwise to get it to go back in. So that was the Smith & Wesson lesson that I learned yesterday. Thought I'd share that with y'all. Like I said, never had it happen before. It is probably going to be a thing that recurs, so now I know how to fix it. So anyway, the more you know, right? And that's all I got, y'all. Until next time, be easy.